26 minutes right now past 11 o'clock. These winds have been something else out of these thunderstorms. Power outages now upwards of close to 90,000. 74-mile-an-hour winds reported about 15 minutes ago in Lee Summit. These storms have a history, even away from the storms themselves, of producing 60 to 75-mile-an-hour winds in outflow. Very unusual type of situation. Here at the station, we took ourselves a massive power hit, scrambled all our systems. So for the last about 15 minutes or so, we've been in the process of rebooting everything with the storm that never even per se hit downtown Kansas City. We just got the winds with all the storms down to our south with the rain, the lightning, and the crazy wind, that is for sure. All right, so here are the latest severe thunderstorm warnings. These include parts of Jackson and Johnson County, including Blue Springs. Bunch of folks now without power in the Blue Springs area. Lee Summit, Raytown, Grandview, although the worst weather may be departing Grandview as we speak. Again, these storms have that history of 60 to, let's just say, close to 80-mile-an-hour winds, so that could do considerable damage. We've seen tree limbs coming down. We've seen some trees come down, blocking roads. Some of you have suffered some roof damage with some shingles flying around. Other warnings continue for Clay, Jackson, Lafayette, and Ray. That's about 250,000 people, and those are going to go up until about 12 o'clock or so early tomorrow morning. So radar is still, needless to say, very, very active. Here are your big thunderstorms over towards the Odessa area, moving into Lafayette County as we speak. Again, the strong winds can be anywhere in here. Buckner, Blue Springs, as we've seen from Lee Summit. So you folks in Lexington, even if you don't get hit by the core of the storm, likewise other parts of southwestern Ray County, you still may experience these 60 to 80-mile-an-hour winds because the storms, they might be weakening a little bit, which wouldn't be shocking to me because they're coming into some drier air. But the storms have had that ability of producing these crazy wind gusts away from the core of the storm, which is just bizarre. All right, so here are some other nasty thunderstorms up here towards Hiawatha. That's 159. These are heading into Donovan County as we speak. So you folks up towards Troy, Oregon, Savannah, St. Joe, Agency, be on the lookout for these storms as they continue to plod off towards the east. And really much of the area is under either a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings down towards Henry County. Jacob, if you get a chance, head on down there for me so you could just kind of cover that base for me. Northwest Missouri, all the way up towards the Iowa border, Maryville, Fillmore, all under severe thunderstorm warnings. This warning in Johnson County will probably come to an end very shortly. And then these warnings that continue off on the Missouri side east of downtown, these are the ones that are producing those 60 to 80-mile-an-hour strong winds. So it's turning into a very active late night and soon to be early morning here in Kansas City. We were expecting pretty much all of this. Things happening a little weirdly, but more or less, things are coming together with the potential of strong winds from all these thunderstorms. Haven't really had too much in terms of any hail or anything like that. Strong, damaging winds seem to be the main issue. Meteorologist Jacob Lanier is over on the big board, and he's going to focus his attention on some of these stronger winds that we've gotten actual reports of here in the metro. Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, and we're getting in this report from Lenexa City Hall. They have a weather station on top of Lenexa City Hall, up to 85-mile-per-hour gusts there. So this is a very unusual outside of the thunderstorm wind gusts that we got, because the places where we saw the power outages and storm damage from Olathe to Overland Park, downtown Kansas City, Midtown, out into Blue Springs and Lee Summit, 70 to 80-mile-per-hour gusts. A lot of folks may not even seen much rainfall or lightning, so a significant windstorm that's kind of now pushing up, and would not be surprised if this trend continues in, say, to Clay and Ray counties, even Lafayette County here over the next 30 minutes or so. So the metro now, according to Evergy, approaching 80 to 90,000 power outages. And now we are seeing some severe thunderstorms trying to organize further south. So this is the newer severe thunderstorm warning until midnight for Henry County. A lot of lightning there from Montrose into Clinton. And what I'm watching there, and we'll have to look here in our velocity mode, is if there may be a little hook down there, maybe a little rotation. It's broad, and we'll have to watch this because this is a little bit more favorable environment for rotation. I'm not seeing anything indicating a tornado, but it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Rotation tracker here from Fox 4, not really seeing much, maybe a little blip there near Deepwater. So this is something we'll have to monitor with this severe thunderstorm further off towards the south. I do just want to check in with our Fox 4 tornado predictor that we've been showing you this season. Nothing's really jumping off the charts here, which is good news. But as we've seen here, and I told you at the 9 and 10 o'clock newscast, damaging winds are primary threat tonight, over 70 miles per hour. That's what we've just experienced in the metro. And there's some more storms back up towards the north. And so we'll have to watch those as they move in as well. And again, I also mentioned that this round around 11 o'clock midnight would not be the end of it. Look back off towards the north and west. Still significant winds moving towards St. Joe and from Atchison and Donovan County, and also almost a supercell back towards Emporia. So there's still some more stuff that we have to get through over the next couple of hours through the overnight time frame. So there's this bigger severe thunderstorm warning off towards the east now of the Kansas City metro. So I'm going to zoom into that and show you the specifics on this warning that's out in Lafayette, Ray, Clay, Jackson, northern Johnson County, Missouri. This goes also until midnight. About 250,000 people here. This is for the damaging winds that we saw just move through Johnson County, Clay, Cass County, downtown Kansas City. 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts. Lee's Summit, I think, gusts to about 75 miles per hour. And again, an unconfirmed report back near Lenexa City Hall of 85 mile per hour winds. So that's what's causing the damage here as this is moving through, as wind damage remains our primary threat. So Joe, kind of a weird setup, but this is what we were forecasting is significant winds, our main threat. It just came outside of a thunderstorm.
Yeah, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but kind of out of nowhere, right? Yeah. For some of these wind reports that we've gotten within the heart of Kansas City, particularly roughly from Olathe northward, because if you take a look down towards Olathe and Gardner, you know, in the last hour or so, not what you would typically expect to see from a radar standpoint when you're getting reports of 60 to 75 mile an hour winds. Just looks like some light rain. Now, we have seen some of these issues in the past so far this spring season where we get these big gusts of wind outside of the thunderstorms being pushed away from these thunderstorm complexes, but we don't think that was the case with this particular situation. What we think happened is that the winds just above us are right now cranking away at close to 60 miles an hour. And even though that, you know, southern portions of Johnson County on the Kansas side, we're just getting some light rain for most of this, we think it kind of merged with those stronger winds above us and pushed them down to the surface. And hence we got these winds that have been essentially pushed all the way up into southern portions of Platte County, Wyandotte County, Leavenworth County, southern Clay County as well. Just a crazy, bizarre situation with these thunderstorms. So it's just one of those weird things. Independence Power and Light reporting close to 4,800 people, customers without power. Here's Independence. Maybe it rained lightly. So it's just one of those very strange and really next to impossible things to forecast for ahead of time, where you get these strong winds coming out of the thunderstorms a distance away from the core of the thunderstorms. I want to take you up towards northeastern Kansas because that's going to be an issue as we go through the overnight hours. We'll see if these things make the turn down towards the south and east. Right now, we're not seeing any indications that they're going to do that, but our data does strongly suggest these things eventually are going to turn south or east-southeastward at the very least. I want to go ahead and put a storm track on this for you. Highland heading your way, 1136, St. Joseph around 1204, Kickapoo around 1220, Leavenworth around 1234, and Cameron around 1244 as well. These are your more traditional thunderstorms. When I say traditional, I mean the strong winds are very close to the core of the storms, maybe just a little bit ahead of it. And this would be something that we'll have to watch for those potentially quick developing tornadoes, although we're not seeing any indications of that, at least at this point. Storms right now in northwestern portions of Atchison County on the Kansas side, stretching backwards towards Brown County into northeastern portions of Kansas. And there's other activity behind this stuff, as Jacob mentioned just a little while ago. But again, for you folks up towards St. Joe, 1204 seems to be a rough time frame for these storms to arrive in your backyard. For the metro itself, we kind of have not a lot going on in terms of anything right now approaching the heart of Kansas City. Kind of see some of the lightning off my shoulder. The worst of these storms have shifted away from at least the immediate metro area. All right, but again, for you folks in the Richmond area, even though it may not be showing like a lot, on radar, or perhaps if you're opening up your weather app or your radar app and you're like, guess we're going to be just fine. Well, think twice about that, because that's where we were here in Kansas City until we had these winds of 50 to 60 miles an hour rip through our area. Likewise, Lee Summit, when they got 75-mile-an-hour winds. Likewise, out towards Lenexa. Got a report there, perhaps an elevated wind instrument for us, but close to 85-mile-an-hour winds down towards the Lenexa City Center area. So just one of those crazy, crazy nights. Right now, this storm has definitely weakened. All right. It was definitely looking beefier down across Cass and Miami County. It definitely looks a little weaker than it was just a little while ago. And I think it's because it's encountering some drier air the further east you get away from Kansas City. Meanwhile, these storms that are down to our south into Henry County, severe thunderstorm warning continues down here for approximately another half hour or so, probably getting us through the midnight hour. A lot of lightning with this. This is around Clinton. Down towards Appleton City. I mentioned to Jacob earlier, I said, I can't wait to mention Appleton City again, because we've said Appleton City about 50,000 times so far this season. Extending down towards Appleton City into northern St. Clair County. These are moving into Benton County as well. I'm going to go ahead and put a storm track on this for you too. Storms are moving quickly, roughly 50-ish. Miles an hour, so you kind of see the motion. Maybe a little bit more towards the east-northeast with these storms. These are the southern storms that we've been expecting to kind of follow along, see if they had the ability of producing any tornadoes. We'll keep an eye on these leading edge type of things. Leesville by about 11:43, Ionia, another town that we've mentioned a lot this spring. Around midnight, Warsaw, another town, 12:09. Smithton around 12:17. So these storms will eventually move up into southwestern, or actually check that, southeastern Pettis County, northwestern portions of Benton County. And behind it, the rain is considerably lighter out towards Bates County and into southeastern portions of Kansas. I want to kind of clear out that storm track for you just very quickly and kind of give you an idea. As Jacob mentioned a little while ago, there are also these other storms that are back there on the Kansas side that, we'll see, keep an eye on these as they continue to move off towards the east, out towards Council Grove. They're under a severe thunderstorm warning. But right now there are no tornado warnings anywhere within our area. There are quite a few severe thunderstorm warnings, and also there are quite a few severe tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches. So a lot of counties are being affected by this. Just about the entire viewing area is either under a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch. Both coincidentally go until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. That storm over there by Council Grove, we'll need to watch that as that heads towards Osage County, Scranton area, Auburn area, and eventually perhaps, if it holds together, into Douglas County about an hour or so, maybe an hour, close to 2 hours for now. Other storms down towards Emporia and Lebo, all moving off towards the east-northeast. So we're not quite done yet with these thunderstorms. Let's get back over to the big board. Here's Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, just want to clarify, some people asking questions. Okay, this huge wind gust came through my neighborhood, right? Are we done with severe weather? Not yet. We've been mentioning this. This is going to be a little bit more of several rounds possible as our tornado watch here in orange continues for the entire Kansas City metro until 5 a.m. And if you're not under the tornado watch, which most of us are, further north and east, you're under a severe thunderstorm watch until 5 a.m. as Joe mentioned. So still several more hours of the potential, at least, for some damaging winds here. I do want to get over and show you kind of the overview. We have this warm front that's sitting right through the metro, and almost, Joe, I wonder if that warm front played a part in bringing some of those mid-level winds that are over 80 miles per hour to the surface. As the storms crossed over that boundary, that may have been the significant gust that we got from the outflow, picking up some of those mid-level winds. So there's right now, further south, there is a tornado warning north of Springfield, Missouri, and there's a confirmed tornado down near Tulsa. So the tornadic environment a little more favorable well south of us, but we still have some of these lone cells. That one back towards Emporia that Joe mentioned. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Still severe storms as far back north and west as Salina. So as those head in our direction, we'll have to keep an eye on things. Here's the wind reports, by the way. Again, a lot of this pouring in within the last 20 minutes. We lost power here at Fox 4 for a good 10 minutes, which is why we had to reboot to get on the air for a moment. 70 to 80 miles per hour reported by weather stations in Johnson and Jackson counties. and a little bit elevated weather station out in Lenexa City Center up to 85 miles per hour. So that's why our power outages across the metro are approaching 90,000, if not 100,000 customers. So I'm zooming off here now to the east, and I want to query and show you some of the winds that are estimated by radar. This is about 1,000 feet up, but still here. Out along the Missouri River, Richmond, Lexington, there's a query of 75-mile-per-hour winds. So this is exactly what just moved through Blue Springs, downtown, Olathe, Lee Summit, Overland Park. So the damaging winds that we felt in the metro continue to push east, southern Ray County, northern Lafayette County, into southern Carroll County. And so that, even if it's not associated with a lot of lightning, it's along the leading edge or edge of this thunderstorm, and that's going to cause some wind damage with it. So we're watching that storm, that severe thunderstorm warning, until midnight. Again, another strong storm up in Doniphan and Atchison County heading towards St. Joe. And then further south, we've got this cell down near Clinton, which the National Weather Service is saying now producing possibly over 65-mile-per-hour winds. Clinton, boy, it's coming down right now. A lot of lightning with this. And this is generally tracking eventually possibly towards Windsor, maybe even Sedalia and Cole Camp here, say over the next hour or so. We can put a storm track on this and get an ETA of arrival for this storm up there as it pushes north and east. So Windsor there 11:50, Manila 12:03, Sedalia 12:15, Smithton 12:20, Otterville around 12:30 as it crosses 65 highway. Now I've watched this area for a little bit of rotation, but not seeing a lot of it, which is good news. But these lone storms are what we'll have to keep an eye on. These little blue blips is what we'd watch for, maybe for a brief spin up. Can't rule it out, but it seems pretty unlikely in the current phase of this development. But still, we have a tornado watch in effect until 5 a.m., Joe, and we're going to have to watch. It looks like several rounds of storms possible here over the next few hours.
Yeah, BPU reporting close to 4,200 customers now without power out towards the Wyandotte County area. So in a quick analysis, I've been watching also these storms that go from Wheaton, north and west of Holton, down towards Clay Center, around Minneapolis, this is out towards more central Kansas. I have a feeling these will be the storms, maybe not this. All right, these will continue due east into northwest Missouri, perhaps grazing northern Platte County. But these storms will probably end up being the storms that make the turn down towards the south and east, and potentially could be creating another round of strong winds in a couple of more hours. If you look carefully, you kind of see these little green, light green little areas. That's outflow being pushed out of these storms. And I have a feeling now that those storms are pushing out that outflow, they're about to start turning a little bit more down towards the south and east. So again, those would be the storms that we sort of watch as they eventually move on down. These guys right in through here, these would be the storms that potentially will start to turn more down towards the south and east, whereas the storms that are up north, the ones that are heading towards the St. Joseph area, which I'm going to put a storm track on here for you in a second, these would be the type of storms that would just produce those strong straight line winds in a more, shall we say, traditional type of thing. So these will continue to move off towards the east. The storms behind it would probably start to turn on down towards the south and east. But these are heading towards Troy by about 11:48, St. Joe by about 12:04, Gower by about 12:26, Cameron by about 12:45 or so. So again, that's why we've got these severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for northwest Missouri into parts of northeastern Kansas. East of Hiawatha, looks like the worst of the weather now is the strongest storms, at least now east of that 159 corridor out towards Brown County and around the Hiawatha and Points East area. You folks in Troy, up there towards Doniphan County, watch for those storms. Again, 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds, not out of the question with those storms as they continue to plod towards the east. Let me just check one quick thing here with those storms, just to make sure that there's not anything significant from a hail standpoint. Not much. Maybe some marginally penny to perhaps near quarter-size hail. Eastern portions of Brown County moving into Doniphan County right along the county line. As we get more and more of these storms moving closer to us, the hail, which never really was all that impressive to me from the last few days in terms of a forecast for hail, looks to be even less of a issue for the area. The storms down south, by the way, that one tornado warning that's down there towards the south of Stockton, And again, this is one of the reasons why for the last several days we've been really emphasizing for the Lake of the Ozarks, for the boaters and for the campers out here, especially in Benton County, you folks in Warsaw up towards Cole Camp, watch for that cell coming out of Henry County. That's probably a mean one. Maybe a history of producing some 60-mile-an-hour winds, at least on radar. But again, down here towards the lakes, you know, Stockton, that general area, that's close to 54, so you're heading out towards Lake of the Ozarks. That's been the concern for the last couple of days, that we could get these very fast developing little spin-ups down there, and that's why that little tornado warning down there south of Stockton. It's Springfield's area, but again, I just want to give anybody, if you know somebody down there along the lake down there, just give them a little text, make sure they're watching that storm as it barrels towards them with the potential of, if not a tornado, hopefully not a tornado, but maybe perhaps more significant straight line winds. Here's that storm that's in Henry County that's about ready now to cross over into Benton County. That's right around or very close to the Leesville area, heading up towards Cole Camp. So heads up for you folks in Cole Camp, 12:13 give or take. Warsaw around 12:03, Leesville by about 11:48, Iconium around 11:55. Again, this is Henry County, a lot of lightning with this. The worst of the weather now east of Urick, Appleton City, Adrian, and Butler, but there's still some lightning, no doubt, going on back there and some brief heavy rains. So Leesville right now, kind of a main little area of concern with the potential of these stronger winds that are going to be moving towards the Leesville area. Yes.
Leesville, the National Weather Service adding to the severe thunderstorm warning a tornado possible indication as it's moving kind of away from Leesville towards Cole Camp, possibly here in Benton County. So something we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so just to give you folks in Cole Camp a heads up, that would be due in your backyard around 12:13. You've got a little thunder shower right on top of you now. That's not it. All right. The main show is about, I want to say, maybe 10, 15 miles further west of there. I'll give you a better idea here in just a second. Let me clear this out. And just for you folks in the Cole Camp area, this would be about 20 miles towards your west-southwest. So that would be the area that we would watch. And we're also watching right along that leading edge. As we have seen time after time, really every one of the tornadoes that we've seen in our viewing area, and we're now up to around 25, give or take a couple, we'll need to watch this leading edge because there's a little inflow going into this. So this is that leading edge that has the ability sometimes of creating these very fast developing tornadoes, very difficult to warn on, but we'll try to give you our best ability to give you an idea what's going on. And that's the reason why you're seeing this darker yellow flash for you. This just kind of tells you and it tells me that this particular storm coming into Benton County, coming into that 65 highway corridor, has the possibility of producing a tornado. Doesn't mean you need to take action right now. You don't need to get necessarily into your basements, but you may just want to be away from those windows in your home or whatever. And if you're camping in this general area, and again, if you're living here in Kansas City and you know folks down towards Cole Camp, Lincoln, Warsaw, this general area, make sure they know what's coming their way, because that would be enough wind to really kind of mess things up on a campground. And with all the trees that we've got down here, no doubt tree limbs could be coming down, and maybe trees too, depending on how strong these winds are. These are, in a sense, a little bit more separated from what happened here in Kansas City about an hour ago with the strong winds that barreled through the area. So let's call these more traditional thunderstorms, if you will. And again, east of Clinton, Deepwater, Leesville, getting it right now, heading towards Lincoln, up towards Cole Camp. For those of you around Kansas City proper, you're just joining us and you're like, well, what's going on around here? Well, right now, not a lot. Got a lot of ground clutter around our area. We've got this thunderstorm, severe thunderstorm warning that probably needs to get dropped at this point, I think, for Richmond, Buckner, and Blue Springs, assuming that these storms aren't throwing out any more winds on the backside of them. But this is just, you know, nothing but ground clutter, maybe a few sprinkles. Bigger storms out across portions of northeastern Kansas. And like I said, this is probably going to be a little lull for a while for Kansas City. We're going to get into this little lull as we wait for the second batch of storms. And again, this is the batch that needs to turn more towards us. And you kind of make out that we're starting to see a little bit more of a southern development down here out towards Wakefield and Manhattan, but those are probably going to be a couple of hours away. So it's the reason why we've been mentioning perhaps 2 waves of thunderstorms, one right about now that has moved through, and then another wave that may come through after about 2 o'clock or so tomorrow morning. And I'll be here. I'll be watching all this stuff as it blows on through. Hopefully it doesn't do much, and hopefully these outflows will push away from the storms far enough so that we don't have to worry about tornadic winds with anything like this. But these storms certainly have the ability of perhaps doing some straight line wind damage, and that's something that we've seen off and on. Other storms down here south of Alma, south of the I-70 corridor, out towards the Turnpike area. And again, these will be moving off towards the east, and eventually you folks in Lawrence and Douglas County, Baldwin City, they're about an hour away from you, assuming they don't weaken as they move closer to you in the next about hour or so. Get over to Jacob.
Okay, yeah, Joe, so kind of keep an eye on this warning that you mentioned out east. That's going to expire here in about 10 minutes. Still, though, I'm seeing signs of pretty strong winds here on our wind mode, moving away from Lexington and towards Carrollton. So I just wanted to query this because this is almost these non-thunderstorm winds that were up to 70 miles per hour, 75 in some instances. So as I kind of query these, we're getting too near that 70 mile per hour zone up in southern Carroll County, 65 to 70 miles per hour, about to pass between Waverly and Carrollton here in the next 10 minutes or so. So wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see some wind damage reports continue further east along the Missouri River, as we saw a lot here in the Kansas City metro. Also want to get back further south now to this severe thunderstorm that's pushing out of Henry County and into Benton County, moving away from Leesville, heading towards Cole Camp. It's been trying to rotate. It's a little bit more favorable environment here for a possible spin up, and so I just want to move in and zoom in and kind of query some of these winds as we have a good portion of viewers in northern Benton County, including Cole Camp. So if there would be a quick spin up, there's where it would be, just northeast of Leesville by about 2 miles and maybe 5-10 miles west of Lincoln and just west of 65 highway. So as we query some of these winds here, again, just a radar estimate of 50 mile per hour winds to the south, 15 mile per hour winds to the north and west. When we do the math there, that's about 65 mile per hour potential rotation. Where we could, that's strong enough to get a brief spin up here as this is tracking towards Cole Camp and Ionia. So I want to put a storm track on this as it moves north and east here through northern Benton County, and our ETA's putting that in Cole Camp around 12:10. So in about 15 minutes. Again, not a tornado warning, but maybe, you know, if you're sitting out on the porch or have the windows open, maybe move away from that just in case. Because even if there's not a tornado, this is going to be some strong winds. This severe thunderstorm warning is for 60 to 65 mile per hour winds. So that's something we're going to have to watch. Moving, though, away from Clinton, but there's that kind of red box there for Cole Camp, Ionia, and Lincoln, a tornado possible with that severe thunderstorm warning, and that warning goes until 12:30 there. So back towards the north, I did want to show you again, as I was predicting this line across northern Kansas to become a wind threat. As this is pushing up towards St. Joe, I'm noticing just a little bit kind of a notching there in Donovan County, south of Troy, north of Atchison, and I wanted to look on our radar from the radar that we have up at KCI and see exactly if there's anything showing rotation up there as I switch over to our wind mode here from KCI. And I'm getting just a little hint at that. Interesting. Right there, even a little bit maybe of a brighter red color right there south of Troy. That's interesting, Joe. Just worth from the MCI terminal Doppler radar up there. That's about 90 mile per hour rotation just south of Troy. So this is a leading edge of damaging winds about to cross over the Missouri River towards St. Joe into Buchanan County. So this is maybe an area we'll need to watch closely as it moves towards St. Joe into Buchanan. I think it's going to pass north there, but you can almost see just looking at it, this wider view, just that little, it's a little brighter red right there. That's maybe a little bit of a peak of some localized wind rotation. So again, not a tornado, but possible spin up. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're on spin up duty tonight, in addition to the damaging winds that we're seeing move through the metro. So that's something that we're going to keep an eye on up there. A little bit of a notch moving towards St. Joe. And again, this would kind of be the beginning possibly of round 2 of damaging winds as we're going to watch some more storms back west eventually move towards the metro. For now, though, we're doing okay. Douglas, Leavenworth, Johnson, Wyandotte County, not a lot going on. Severe thunderstorm back towards Osage City. And again, the storm up near Atchison we'll have to watch closely. So kind of the Atchison County storm and then the Benton County storm are kind of the two we're really keeping an eye on now, Joe, as the wind reports. And it looks like we actually got a tornado warning now for Cole Camp. Yeah, so this is a new tornado warning for northern Benton County until 12:30. So that's Lincoln, Cole Camp, now's the time. Let's go to our tornado safe place here, Ionia, Lincoln as well. Not including Warsaw, but just north of there, northern Benton County, tracking away from Leesville towards Cole Camp, this new tornado warning. That was the rotation I was showing you.
Right?
Yeah.
So that general area is something to watch. I was watching as just before they issued that tornado warning, I was keeping an eye up on that Donovan County storm. That might have a little outflow being pushed out from Donovan County, certainly into Atchison County. It looked like there was a little outflow being pushed out, so maybe that reduces that risk of tornadic weather for up there. Still, though, could get some straight line winds. This little area right in through there, that's what we're watching, and that is sort of kind of heading towards the Cole Camp vicinity. So just to kind of give you folks in Cole Camp a heads up, 12:11. All right, so probably not a bad idea just to be on the safe side, get yourself into a safe area. Northern portions of Benton County now under a tornado warning. So we've got a tornado warning now. This is north of Warsaw up towards 65 and is concerning this little guy right in through there. All right, and that's basically moving off towards the east roughly at around 45, close to 50 miles an hour. So it'll be in there pretty quick. Just for bearings for you folks in Cole Camp while you get to your safe spot. That's about 11 miles towards the west of Cole Camp right now and moving east at a pretty good clip. So you folks in Cole Camp, like Jacob mentioned, probably a good idea to take cover from this. It may pass just to your north, but I'm not comfortable with that at this point. Maybe. Looks like it might actually pass to the north. Yeah. So right now, for you folks in Cole Camp, go ahead and take cover from this. I'm going to put another track on this for you, just to kind of maybe take this track a little further up towards the east-northeast of, or east-north, or west-northwest of Cole Camp. Just maybe give a few extra folks a heads up. But Cole Camp, take cover. You folks in Ionia, take cover. That seems to be heading towards the Ionia area near 65 Highway. Spring Fork, 1211. Boehner by about 1217. That would be in southeastern portions of Pettis County. So this is the concern that we've got right now. And as I put it into motion again, you could kind of make out the movement of it. Yeah, that looks like it's moving more towards the east-northeast. So hopefully that would keep the tornadic part of it away from Cole Camp. Now, I can't rule out maybe some strong straight line winds with this as well for the Cole Camp area. But it looks like this part of the circulation, and we've seen these now literally dozens of times over the last month and a half. Ever since our severe weather season started with a bang back there in mid-April, we have seen a lot of these type of circulations. And while middle of the night, it's tough to actually make out whether or not that's a tornado or not. We have, like the next day or the day after, found enough wind damage and tree damage, etc., that they're like, yeah, sure, it's an EF0 or an EF1 tornado. So just to be on the safe side, like I said, you folks in Ionia especially, take cover from this storm. This thing's going to cross over the border into southern Pettis County. So I want to give the folks in southern Pettis County a little bit of a heads up. I wouldn't be shocked, you know, if maybe southern Pettis County gets placed under a tornado warning here pretty soon. So you folks in southern Pettis County, keep an eye on that cell. And there's still some stuff going on around the Lincoln area that we need to watch too. But again, this whole thing, whether it's producing a tornado or not, would probably have the ability of producing those 60, close to 80-mile-an-hour winds as the whole thunderstorm complex moves off towards the east-northeast at around 50-ish miles an hour. For the metro, we're going actually through a lull, as I mentioned. Not much happening around Kansas City right now. It'll stay quiet probably for about the next hour or so as we continue to kind of do cleanup with all the wind damage that we've seen in terms of tree limbs coming down, trees coming down. When I checked with Evergy just a little while ago, and Evergy does not represent everybody. We've got Independence Power and Light, we got BPU. Both of those companies reporting roughly 5,000 customers without power apiece. Evergy is reporting around 40,000 just in Johnson County and close to 80,000 in Jackson County. Close to 80,000 customers in Jackson County without power right now, and close to 40,000 in Johnson County without power. We've had confirmed reports of upwards of 70-mile-an-hour winds down at the airport in Olathe, 151st and Quivira, Johnson County Executive Airport. Lee Summit Airport reported a wind gust to 74 miles an hour. That was about 50 minutes ago. Associated with this, and that storm has just fell apart as it moved off into Lafayette County. Notice the metro warning is done with. No warnings right now around Kansas City proper. Still have these warnings up towards eastern portions of Doniphan County, towards the St. Joe area, and these other warnings out towards Burlington. Those storms will eventually get us, as will these storms out towards Manhattan. But again, they're a long ways away from Kansas City. So we're going to have a lull here for quite some time in the metro in terms of any really, really bad weather. Let's take you back down towards Benton County. Jacob, do you have that Benton County thing ready to go?
Yeah, keeping an eye on it. I was actually looking at our Fox 4 tornado predictor to kind of keep an eye. And that's kind of the zone there. We also saw a tornado warning earlier further south towards Bolivar, Missouri. And so this is kind of the zone, northern Benton, southern Pettis, back towards Morgan County, which is out of our area, but that we'll have to watch for some rotation. And also on our Fox 4 rotation tracker, this storm has been showing up with some, decent rotation. Some of these brighter blues usually indicate to me that we're seeing some rotation. And right now, it's essentially passing between Lincoln and Ionia, and it's going to pass just north of Cole Camp, as Joe was mentioning. So we're going to have to watch this. It's going to cross 65 highway here. Right near, I think, the Benton and Pettis County line in about the next 10 minutes or so. So that's where the rotation is for this tornado warning. This tornado warning continues for the next 30 minutes across northern Benton County as this moves up towards the north and the east. So the latest storm track on this, again, tracking more north, just north of Cole Camp. That's kind of the ETAs there. So moving maybe towards Bonner there, Smithton, right on the edge of eastern Pettis County by, say, 12:20, 12:30. So we're going to have to watch for this severe thunderstorm warning that continues from Sedalia south. But the rotation right now is approaching Ionia. So again, campers, also the tornado threat is continuing further towards the south. I just want to kind of re-emphasize that. That we're not really done with severe weather anywhere yet. There's a new tornado warning all the way back near the Oklahoma state line south of Wichita. So that could still track overnight towards southeastern Kansas and down towards the lakes. There's a tornado possible on the storm on the south side of Lake of the Ozarks. So still kind of active on radar here. And we're watching damaging winds form up along the warm front towards St. Joe. A supercell trying to get going between Emporia and Topeka, so still very active, and several more rounds still possible as this comes on through. So again, we're getting a lot of 75 to 85 mile per hour wind damage reports. We continue to come in, and the latest count now for the Kansas City Metro is over 130,000 customers without power. So that's a big chunk of the KC Metro that has lost power. And that all came from those non-thunderstorm wind gusts that was right around 11 o'clock. So a significant wind burst that came through. Joe, it might have been, coupled with that warm front. It might have been possibly a wake front or wake low on the edge of that thunderstorm.
Yeah, it was funny because I'm trying to replay the time frame in my mind.
It's right around 11.
Right around 11, we started getting some strong wind reports out of southern Johnson County and even into Miami County. We're like, oh, that's interesting. But then it just kind of spread further and further north. We didn't have, when we looked outside as we lost power there for a brief second. It didn't seem overwhelming for the winds around here, but other parts of Jackson and Johnson County, as we've mentioned, a lot of strong winds. I think I just saw a wind report from that wind gust, if you will, of close to 80 miles an hour in Roland Park. Again, we've got a tornado possible with this thing. It's close to Ionia. It definitely does not quite look as, shall we say, as robust as it did just a little while ago. So hopefully that's good news. This is going to pass north and west of Cole Camp. Again, we're looking for this little area of rotation, and you can kind of see how in these last few frames, I'm going to kind of play this, go back here in time, see how it looked pretty good, and then it just kind of, that's very close to the Ionia area. So hopefully southern portions of Pettis County don't go under a warning. The warning itself, and we'll keep an eye on that still. So you had one little thing here. We might have a little thing there. That's west of Cole Camp. So you folks in Cole Camp, let's make sure you're still in your safe spot just until we get this whole thing kind of past you. That's right along 52 Highway, by the way. That little area of rotation right along 52 and 65, and then there's that other one up here towards and maybe just towards the east of Ionia. Meanwhile, for a look on radar, this is some pretty heavy rains that are coming down, a lot of thunder and a lot of lightning with all of this. I'm going to stop this and just kind of do a quick lightning count for you. A lot. It's a lot of lightning with this whole thing. Just to kind of give you folks down there, you know, a heads up. Where did it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's, you know, what do we got? 354 strikes. So Green Ridge, Calhoun, southwestern Pettis County, northwestern portions of Benton County, over towards Cole Camp and north of Cole Camp, 363 strikes. So this has been the concern for the campers, especially anybody down at one of the area lakes. With this type of weather coming in middle of the night, it's scary enough. And this is an area that has questionable cell service to begin with, just because of all the hills that we've got down there, the rolling terrain. So it can be very difficult to get a cell signal down here. But for the folks who do have one, hopefully if they don't know about it, especially for the folks in southeastern portions of Pettis County, near and south of Smithton, down towards Cole Camp, that's a storm that you probably don't want to mess with. Even if it's not producing crazy winds, it is producing a lot of lightning. So that's a big, big issue, and you can see the lightning actually increasing now. So that's telling us that the storm is getting a little stronger as it moves off towards the east-northeast. Again, around Kansas City, though, we're doing pretty good right now. It's you know, this is just kind of like the little lull, if you will, in between things. Not much happening around the metro. We're just kind of dealing with all the power outages. You can kind of see the lightning. Our Overland Park camera is pointing out towards the south and west. I'm going to kind of get rid of some of this ground clutter. So for Kansas City proper right now, certainly not a lot happening, and it looks like it'll stay quiet for probably another hour or two until this other activity out towards Manhattan and out south and west of Topeka starts to come our way. For northeastern portions of Benton County, though, we continue to have your tornado warning, so we'll stay on the air for this just to kind of get the folks in northeastern Benton County through this particular tornado warning. So again, that again is centered right on top of Cole Camp. I don't think I've heard of anything actually on the ground with this. My colleagues down at the Weather Service in Springfield have mentioned that the circulation has weakened, shifted into Pettis County. Second broad circulation just southwest of Appleton City will continue the tornado warning for northeastern portions of Benton County. Okay. Interesting. So again, we'll just stay on the air here just for a little while longer, just to be on the safe side with this thing. Circulation that they were talking about near Appleton City, I'm not so sure about that one. But again, Cole Camp, northeastern Benton County, still under that tornado warning. That'll continue for about the next 20 minutes, I believe. I think that goes until 12:30. It does not look like southern portions of Pettis County at this point will get placed under a tornado warning, but we'll see. As we've seen so far this spring, just because it kind of fades for a bit, doesn't mean it won't come right back together again briefly, perhaps, in the extreme southeastern portion of Pettis County, which is south and east of Sedalia. Speaking of Sedalia, you guys are going to get some of this rain coming up from your south and west with the lightning too. All right, so you folks in Sedalia over towards the Smithton area, you folks are going to get, a pretty good wallop of a thunderstorm with the potential of perhaps 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, something like that. This particular severe thunderstorm warning also is one of those tornado possible type situations as well. So we'll watch this. If there is going to be a tornado, I don't think it'll be back there. It's going to be maybe somewhere in here. There's still a little inflow going on just north of Coal Camp. Looks like you folks in Coal Camp are probably just about in the clear in terms of that tornado warning. Just give it a little, maybe another 5 minutes or so. Doesn't mean the rain is done, but it means that any potential circulation is passing now towards the north and east of Coal Camp. So we'll kind of get you right down into Coal Camp just to kind of give you your bearings for you folks who are down there watching us this evening. It does look like that circulation, if there is one, or if there was one, is right about there. That would be just north of Coal Camp, north of 52, far northern reaches of Benton County. So you folks in Coal Camp can't rule out perhaps 60, 70 mile an hour winds with these thunderstorms, but in terms of the tornadic part of this, that's passing now just to your north. So if you live north of Coal Camp, if you live in northeastern portions of Benton County, that's that Highway A corridor into Pettis County. You folks watch for that little circulation. That could be, if nothing else, just an area of enhanced, stronger straight line winds coming about with this whole thing. So again, you folks in Coal Camp, I think that tornadic part has now come to an end. For those of you who have been flipping through the dial and are joining us freshly after a kind of strange last hour and a half with strong winds ripping through the metro, we now have some lighter rains coming back into Kansas City, but nothing overly concerning from a thunderstorm standpoint at this point. We're going to get a lull here in the metro for about another hour or so until, we start dabbling into some of this activity south of Topeka, and then also that activity that's off towards the west, or I shouldn't say that, off towards the Manhattan area, pretty much barreling through Manhattan right now, as a matter of fact. This will be something to watch. But the timing on that is probably about 2 hours away. So we'll deal with this in probably about 2 hours or so as it gets closer to Kansas City. That won't help the power restoration at all, because as soon as these storms get a little bit closer to the metro, they're going to have to stop. If they're outside working on the trees and the lines and stuff, they're going to have to stop for a while to let this lightning pass on through. But that storm out there towards the Manhattan area, it's not warned on, but it's probably a pretty potent little storm, maybe not quite as gusty with the winds or anything, but no doubt it's probably producing some pretty darn heavy rain. Here's another storm. There's Topeka. That storm's doing pretty good around Agnes City, heading towards Burlingame. So that'll be something that we'll watch as well as it heads towards Overbrook, northern reaches of Osage County in the next about maybe half hour to 45 minutes. Again, storm's moving at a pretty good clip. Haven't heard any reports of any flooding or anything of big concern with this. That was a concern leading into the overnight hours. And these storms that are up there towards northwestern Missouri, they're doing okay. They're not overly crazy in terms of intensity. Might be weakening too, just a little bit. Seems like we're losing some of the darker reds and even the lighter reds, transitioning over to some orange colors, indicating perhaps, we're getting some weakening with this. But there's Savannah out towards Oregon, up towards Maryville, showers and thunderstorms in that general area as well. Let's get back over to Jacob.
Yeah, Joe. So again, just a reminder for folks, that are at home, maybe dealing with some power outages or wondering if there's more rain on the way, that we continue to remain under a tornado watch here in the Kansas City metro until 5 o'clock in the morning. So still about 4 or 5 more hours of the threat, at least, for severe weather, whether that's a spin-up tornado like we may be seeing down near Coal Camp, or if it's just the damaging winds. I mean, a lot of folks reporting the worst damage they've seen out of storms over the last couple of weeks from these non-thunderstorm wind gusts that we've seen around the metro. We've seen our peak gust maybe up to 85 miles per hour. out in Lenexa City Center, a good chunk of the metro, now over 130,000 customers without power. So that is a big issue and may take multiple days to get everyone kind of back on the grid, if you will. Hopefully it's quicker. We've got some great power crews, and I'm sure they're already starting out there. But as Joe mentioned, they're going to be hampered again by some more incoming storms. So more wind damage reports continuing to come in. A lot of trees down, a lot of power poles down across Johnson, Jackson counties with those wind gusts up to 85 miles per hour. So pretty strong storms that moved through. Here's the wider view of our setup. Again, there's still some active weather off to our west. We have this lone kind of cell back north of Emporia, south of Topeka. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. That could, in the next hour and a half, track towards Lawrence. And then one back near Manhattan that Joe was tracking. And then also two other cells, Independence, Kansas, moving into, say, northwestern Arkansas, east of Tulsa, confirmed tornado down there. And then these two cells kind of on either side of Lake of the Ozarks. So right now in the metro, we're getting a little bit of a break, but this is the storm that I think we'll have to watch, or these two storms back west. This one near Burlington, some hail with that, as it's, say, an hour and a half away from Douglas County. And then this is maybe 2-3 hours away back towards Manhattan, but that's starting to wrap up a little bit as well, maybe even a notch there south of Wamego. So that's an interesting storm that we'll have to keep an eye on. Again, I know a lot of folks out of town down towards Lake of the Ozarks, and I just wanted to zoom on down there and show you. So there's Osage Beach back towards, say, south of Warsaw, Truman Lake, kind of really, thankfully, getting kind of bookended by severe thunderstorms. There's a severe storm that had a tornado earlier south of the lakes, and there's one north of the lakes, Cole Camp moving into Morgan County. And it looks like National Weather Service has extended Morgan County into a severe thunderstorm warning. So it looks like, as Joe and I have been tracking on this storm there just north of Cole Camp, that the tornado risk seems to be going down with this, which is good as it's moving away. Yeah, even the rotation tracker, notice it was highest back between Leesville and Lincoln. Now I'm not even seeing many blips up towards Cole Camp or the Morgan County line. So that's good news as this continues to hopefully a weekend. As we look at our velocity mode up there down near Cole Camp, it's more straight line winds. Still certainly could be causing damage, as we've seen across the Kansas City metro, maybe over 55 miles per hour in spots. So certainly high winds still for the next 10-15 minutes around the Cole Camp area, northern Benton County. And then up towards Sedalia into Pettis County, I still think that we're seeing some stronger winds, especially south of, say, 50 highway south of Sedalia moving towards Smithton. Some gusty winds with this, 40 to 50 miles per hour. But overall, the severe weather threat moving away, say, out towards Syracuse, Otterville, and eventually into central Missouri from that storm. So that severe storm that has the tornado warning moving away from us, and now we're kind of turning our attention to what's back towards the west and north. But as Joe was mentioning, up towards St. Joe, it looks like that severe thunderstorm warning has been dropped. So really, we've just got the tornado warning for northern Benton County, which I think was just canceled right now. Yeah. And then this severe thunderstorm back towards Topeka. Well, I think that'll be our next thing to watch, say in Lawrence, maybe around 1:30, 2 a.m., Joe.
All right, so what we'd like to do is go ahead and send it back to programming. We'll keep an eye on these storms. We'll eventually send Jacob home because he's got to be back at work in about 6 hours. I'll be watching these storms coming out of the Manhattan area, south of Topeka. I'll be here in case we need to break back into programming here, and if we do so, I wouldn't be surprised if it's about Lawrence, Douglas County, and then into the western side of the metro as these storms start to head our way. Let's send you back to programming, and I'm sure we'll see you again before the night is